South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard appears to have lost control of both governments.
Well, for the first time in many weeks, Dolton trustees and Mayor Tiffany Henyard held a public meeting together, but not at Village Hall.
It seems like Dolton's mayor, Tiffany Henyard, just can't stay out of the spotlight, and not for good reasons. If you've been following the saga, you already know how wild things have gotten. But if not, buckle up, because this story has it all: political chaos, corruption allegations, lawsuits, even an eviction. Yes, you heard that right. The mayor of Dolton is facing eviction while the town she's supposed to be leading spirals deeper into financial ruin. And it all came to a head at a recent village board meeting that was more like a reality TV episode than a public service gathering.
You are a clown.
We will continue to speak out against wrongdoing.
Why won't you step down?
Now, before we dive into the latest drama, let's set the stage. Tiffany Henyard, who was elected as mayor of Dolton in 2021, has been in hot water for a while now. She came into office with big promises, but those quickly turned into big scandals. From lavish spending on first-class flights and luxury hotels to questionable use of public funds, Henyard has been accused of treating Dolton's budget like her personal piggy bank. And as if that wasn't enough, she's also embroiled in a federal investigation. We're talking subpoenas, lawsuits, and a growing list of enemies both on the village board and in the community. But here's the kicker. Despite all the allegations, Henyard isn't backing down. In fact, she's doubling down. At a recent village board meeting, she tried to pass several motions to approve the town's budget, despite being very much alone in her efforts. Most of the trustees didn't even bother to show up, and those who did were not exactly on her side. It was a sad sight, honestly. Henyard standing there, trying to run the meeting like everything was fine, while the room practically emptied out around her.
And Micah, tonight was a special board meeting because business has not gotten done at two previous meetings. So that's some progress there. But this meeting was not without its fair share of tension.
So what went down? Well, Henyard started the meeting the way she always does, by pretending everything is business as usual. She called it to order and immediately launched into a long speech about how the town's bills hadn't been paid in over a month. She tried to paint herself as the hero, saying she was just trying to do the will of the people. But let's be real, the situation is a mess, and a lot of it is on her. According to one of the trustees, Jason House, the town is millions of dollars in debt, and vendors aren't getting paid. That's right, Dolton is so broke that the vendors who keep basic services running, like electricity and water, haven't received a dime in months. And it only gets worse. Henyard's administration is accused of running up thousands in credit card debt on, wait for it, Amazon purchases. One of the most shocking revelations, a single Amazon transaction for over $43,000 in January of this year. Let that sink in. A village that can't pay its vendors is somehow spending tens of thousands on Amazon. And it's not just Amazon, there were also purchases from Target, Walgreens, and even Wayfair. In fact, one Wayfair purchase alone was for nearly $8,000. What could they possibly be buying that's so expensive? No one knows, because receipts are rarely provided.
It's a power grab. That's it. Power and money grab.
Trustee Tammy Brown summed it up perfectly during the meeting when she said, "If you don't see through this, there is nothing I can say to you." She's right at this point. The evidence is overwhelming, but Henyard continues to act like she's the victim in all of this. She even tried to make the argument that her critics are only coming after her because she's a Black woman in power. While it's true that Black women in leadership face unique challenges, this isn't about race. It's about accountability, or rather, the lack of it. And speaking of accountability, let's talk about the village's police department. 2 officers received more in overtime pay than their actual salaries last year. One officer, whose annual salary was around $87,000, raked in over $114,000 in overtime alone. Another officer, with a salary of $73,000, got an additional $102,000 in overtime. It's insane. And guess who's been using the police as her personal security detail? That's right, Henyard. Instead of patrolling the streets and keeping the community safe, multiple officers are assigned to protect the mayor. Trustee Brittany Norwood even called her out, saying, "You're assigning all of them to be with you when they should be out here protecting the residents so we can all feel safe."
Henyard's landlord showed up here to see her tenant in person after she says Henyard has been dodging both her and rent payments for months.
But Henyard doesn't seem to care. She's too busy going on first-class trips to places like New York and Atlanta, where she and her team stayed in 5-star hotels on the public's dime. In Atlanta, they stayed at the Four Seasons, racking up a bill of over $9,000. In New York, they stayed at the Marriott Marquis, and the bill was a whopping $13,13. And let's not forget the fancy restaurants. From July to November, Henyard and her allies spent over $23,000 on dining out across the state. Meanwhile, the median income for Dolton residents is just $24,000 a year. Let that sink in.
A Dolton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now she wants her.
At this point, you're probably wondering how Henyard has managed to stay in office. Well, it's a combination of arrogance and manipulation. She's been accused of forging checks and withholding financial records, but so far, she hasn't faced any real consequences. In fact, she's still trying to control everything, even going so far as to change the locks at Village Hall to keep the trustees out. During the last village board meeting, she was a no-show, and her attorneys announced that she had changed the locks again. It's like something out of a soap opera. And if you thought things couldn't get any worse, there's the whole eviction drama. Yes, the mayor of Dolton is being evicted from her rented home because she hasn't paid rent in months. According to her landlord, Janetta Hull, Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, stopped paying rent in August. Hull, who once considered Henyard a friend, said she's owed over $5,000 in overdue rent and late fees. And get this, Henyard and Woods even changed the locks and the garage door code to keep Hull out of the property. Hull said she's had to hire a process server to deliver the eviction papers because Henyard has been avoiding her. As a mayor, you would think they would uphold positive citizen standards, Hull said. You don't see that with these people. They just feel like they can do whatever they want.
Just here because I'm at wit's end and I fear that I'm going to go into foreclosure soon if I can't get this matter handled.
It's honestly unbelievable. How does someone who makes nearly $300,000 a year as mayor and township supervisor not pay their rent? Henyard's boyfriend, Kamal Woods, also works for Thornton Township, earning a six-figure salary, yet they claim they can't afford an extra $200 a month in rent after Hull raised the due to higher property taxes. Something doesn't add up, but instead of addressing these issues, Henyard is going on Facebook Live, ranting about how she's being unfairly targeted. In a nearly 90-minute tirade, she accused her political opponents of trying to bring her down and even hinted that she would seek their arrests. I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved, she said. I will be pressing charges. It's a lot. And that's just me telling you a little bit. She didn't specify what crime she thinks they've committed, but it's clear she's not going down without a fight.
I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges.
And it's not just her political opponents who are fed up. Residents are starting to turn on her too. At one of the recent board meetings, a resident got up during public comment and asked, "This is an embarrassment to Dolton. Why won't you step down?" It's a valid question, but Henyard has no plans to resign. In fact, she's already announced that she's running for re-election. Yep, you heard that right. Despite all the scandals, the lawsuits, the federal investigation, and the fact that she's being evicted, Henyard still thinks she deserves another term. Trustee Jason House, who is running against her, has made it clear that he's not going to let her off the hook. He and the other trustees have been fighting to hold Henyard accountable for months, but it's been an uphill battle. Henyard has filed lawsuits against them, accusing them of overstepping their powers, and she's even tried to invalidate meetings that don't take place at Village Hall. It's a mess, and the community is stuck in the middle.
Not word one, it says 100%, 100% of one, 100% to who? I mean, that could be a lot of different things. What's the administrative costs? When's it going to start? When's it going to end? Just literally nothing.
One of the most outrageous moments came when Henyard, dressed like a character from the movie New Jack City, strutted into a meeting with a DJ playing Rihanna's Better Have My Money. She was trying to make a point about her authority, but all it did was make her look even more out of touch. Trustee Kiana Belcher wasn't having it, saying she comes to board meetings dressed like Nino Brown. People look at politics like a joke, it's like a mockery right now because of all this stuff, and she's not wrong. Henyard's antics have turned Dolton into a laughingstock, and it's only a matter of time before things come crashing down. But here's the thing, despite all the chaos, there are still people who support Henyard. Some residents believe she's being unfairly targeted because of her race and gender. Others think she's doing the best she can under difficult circumstances. But the majority of people seem to be fed up. As one resident put it, "We used to have a lot of trees put up here. She's taken them down." It's a small thing, but it speaks to a larger issue. Henyard isn't doing anything to improve the community. Instead, she's focused on protecting herself and staying in power.
It's just getting to be redundant, and we're getting tired of coming here, not having the laws followed, not having a meeting.
And let's not forget the FBI investigation. Henyard has been under federal scrutiny for months, and while no charges have been filed yet, the fact that the FBI is involved suggests that this is far from over. According to former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired to investigate Dolton's finances, the village's general fund went from a balance of $5.61 million in 2022 to a deficit of $3.65 million by May 2024. That's a huge drop, and it raises serious questions about how the money is being spent. So what do you think? Is Henyard being unfairly targeted, or is she just reaping what she's sown? Will she be able to hold onto her seat, or is this the beginning of the end for Dolton's Super Mayor? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this wild ride.